Good evening. You're now watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Vincent Chan, and here's a look at tonight's top stories. COVID infections continue to hover above 5,000 amid fears that new variants will increase daily caseloads. Another recruitment drive is launched as the local aviation sector rebounds. And China is all set for the Party Congress, which is expected to endorse a third term for President Xi Jinping. A government pandemic advisor expects the daily COVID caseload to increase because of new variants, but severe infections and deaths are likely to remain low because of the high vaccination rate. Janice Lo reports.
For the third straight day, new COVID cases exceeded 5,000. There were 5,424 infections, 312 of which were imported. The virus claimed 7 more lives. Since hotel quarantine for arrivals was scrapped almost 3 weeks ago, the city has detected 4 new COVID subvariants. A government pandemic expert says this will probably lead to a rise in caseloads.
The reproduction number is now 1.25, so we can foresee that there will be an increase in the number of confirmed cases. However, the local vaccination rates are actually quite high for 1, 2, and 3 doses. So I think we don't need to worry too much.
Hui added that the number of severe cases and fatalities is not that high and is on a par with Singapore. So far, at least 80% of the population are triple jabbed. Although BioNTech is seeking government approval for its bivalent booster for Omicron subvariants BA.4 or BA.5, Hui urged people not to wait. They should also get jabs for seasonal influenza, which usually peaks between January and March. But Hui said it might arrive earlier this time because travel curbs have been eased.
20大會議之後，可唔可以有個配額可以增加呢？咁我相信都呢個機會都應該有嘅。
Meanwhile, Tam Yu-chong, a member of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, believes China will ease cross-border travel soon. Janice Lo, HKIBC.
Pandemic expert David Hui says it is vital to continue PCR tests for arrivals so that new COVID variants can be detected.
I think the PCR on arrival, maybe another one or two after, would still be important. If you don't perform PCR, you cannot perform genome sequencing, and you cannot monitor the new variants coming to Hong Kong. So I guess, on arrival, the PCR certainly is a must, and then later on you can replace by maybe a daily RAT as an alternative.
Hong Kong's aviation industry looks set to lift off, with the airport and related firms kicking off a 2-day recruitment drive. The firms are seeking 1,200 recruits for positions including ground crew and cargo staff. Chloe Feng reports.
Extra manpower is needed as the city's battered aviation sector seeks to rebound from COVID. The international airport and 18 firms that provide it with services launched a 2-day recruitment fair in Tsuen Wan to hire over 1,200 staff. Most of the jobs are for catering, ground handling services, cargo and cabin services, and aircraft maintenance. Fresh graduates were among the hopefuls.
想 apply cargo 嗰邊，即係倉務啊嗰啲係貨運咁樣咯。
This applicant said she wants to apply for positions related to cargo and warehouse services, as she believed the outlook for cargo remains strong.
做地勤啦，咁做咗1年半嘅，因為
Another applicant was forced to give up his job as a ground crew member when the aviation industry encountered turbulence. He hopes to return to the sector and will be happy with a monthly salary of between $13,000 and $15,000.
自然流失㗎啦，都有好幾百位，係啊。
A local ground services company which lost hundreds of employees during the pandemic said it will welcome back former workers with salaries at the same level.
其實就講返疫情前啦。
Stephen Yu of the airport authority said before COVID, the airport required 70,000 people to deal with over 200,000 travelers each day. With flights increasing gradually, there's a necessity to beef up manpower. Just last week, the city's flagship carrier, Cathay Pacific, began hiring 2,000 flight attendants. But some said the basic monthly salary of $9,100 was too low. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
All preparatory work has been completed for the 20th Communist Party Congress that opens in Beijing tomorrow. Spokesman Sun Yeli said the Congress will make appropriate amendments to the party's constitution. The week-long gathering will conclude with the introduction of the members of the next Central Committee and Politburo Standing Committee. They will meet the media after the Congress. Sun also reiterated that Beijing's stringent stance on COVID is correct, as it will prevent mass casualties and ensure social and economic stability. Delegates from across China are gathering in Beijing for a party congress. Apart from key political appointments, the meeting is also expected to focus on domestic and foreign policies in the next 5 years. Chloe Feng reports.
President Xi Jinping is widely expected to be endorsed as party leader for an unprecedented third term at the 20th Communist Party Congress, which opens tomorrow. Almost 2,300 delegates will gather in the Great Hall of the People in Beijing for the Congress, which takes place every 5 years. Xi is also expected to have a new team, including a central committee to help him lead the world's second biggest economy in the next 5 years. In the last 3 years, the economy took a hit from the coronavirus, which prompted Beijing to adopt a zero-COVID policy. In the years ahead, it faces geopolitical challenges. More than 750 overseas reporters are in Beijing, trying to get a glimpse of China's foreign policy agenda. Russian correspondent Nikolai Sheloshev expects closer ties between Beijing and Moscow in areas such as the digital economy, infrastructure, and aerospace programs. A reporter from Taiwan expressed the hope for peace. Reporters will also be looking to see if the zero-COVID policy will be relaxed.
I have to say it's getting tough with all these controls, epidemic preventions, and so on. There's less cultural life.
Reporters who were quarantined in a designated hotel before the Congress have to take daily PCR tests. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Overseas, an explosion in a coal mine in northern Turkey has killed at least 28 people, with 15 more trapped underground. 60 other miners were rescued, and they and anxious relatives waited for news of those missing. More than 100 men were working in the shaft when the blast occurred near the town of Amasra, about 300 kilometers north of the capital, Ankara. A fire inside the mine hampered the search for unaccounted workers. British Prime Minister Liz Truss has made a stunning U-turn in her controversial tax plan and sacked her finance minister as she struggled for political survival. But her critics say her days in office are numbered.
As Prime Minister, I will always act in the national interest. This is always my first consideration. I want to be honest, this is difficult, but we will get through this storm, and we will deliver the strong and sustained growth that can transform the prosperity of our country for generations to come.
The Prime Minister's actions failed to win the confidence of the country's financial markets, with economists arguing that her measures are not enough. Truss sacked Finance Chief Kwasi Kwarteng, her close friend, and replaced him with Jeremy Hunt, who hinted of tax increases. Hunt's warning came amid indications that Truss would be forced out of office only weeks after moving into 10 Downing Street.
So the fact that she has had turmoil in her cabinet and she's firing people that have just been hired isn't great. To be fair, I really would like to see a change of government pretty soon.
She says she's listening to people, but she's not listening to the scientists who are telling the government that they're not doing enough to tackle climate change, for example. And also she's not listening to the economists that know that permanent, never-ending economic growth is a crazy idea. So it's easy to say you're listening, but actually she's not really.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has ruled out massive strikes against Ukraine for the moment. He also said Moscow is not seeking to destroy its neighbor, which it invaded in February. Russian forces appear to have faced setbacks in recent weeks, prompting Putin to order a partial mobilization. But he said the exercise will end in 2 weeks and no more reservists will be called up. On Monday, Moscow launched its biggest airstrikes in months, killing at least 11 people and injuring dozens. The raids were in response to an explosion on a key bridge linking Crimea with Russia. Thousands of people in 3 southeast Australian states have been evacuated following flash floods, as the authorities warned residents to take precautions.
We're seeing this time and time again. The last number I had this morning was 355 rescues across the state since this event happened. 160 of those in Rochester overnight. So I can't be stronger, firmer in relation to, and I don't know why it is, people are afraid of fire. They should be equally afraid of water. Water kills.
The floods claimed 1 life in Rochester, one of the hardest hit towns. Emergency warnings were issued for many areas in Victoria, New South Wales and Tasmania after days of downpours. More rain is forecast in the next few weeks. A combination of climate change and the La Niña weather phenomenon led to unusually heavy rain. British actor Robbie Coltrane, who starred in the Harry Potter films, has died at the age of 72. He portrayed the giant Hagrid, a mentor to the boy wizard. Apart from his role in all 8 Harry Potter films between 2001 and 2011, Coltrane also gained fame in the TV detective drama Cracker. He died in a hospital in Scotland. The cause of death has not been disclosed. Onto the weather now. It will be fine and dry tomorrow with a maximum temperature of 31 degrees, but it will be overcast in the following days. The mercury will fall on Tuesday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Saturday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Vincent Chan. Good night.